Hello, guys and gals, and this is going to be part 3 of Album of Horses. This is a book by Margaret Henry and illustrated by Wesley Dennis. As we found out in the last episode, Wesley Dennis was really into polo, really wanted to really raise polo ponies and play polo, and as you remember, he actually succeeded in that goal. I was kind of surprised to have such an inspirational story in here. It's wonderful. Okay, and we are to the Morgan horse. This is actually, I should say, this is an actual original copy. This is brand by Miranda McNally. And this is 1965, 15th printing. I got this book for 28 cents, I believe. Originally copyright 1951. And so yeah, I'm not sure exactly how many total printings there were, but let's get into this and learn about the Morgan horse. Tony Wellington, a mounted policeman, knew he had a good horse in Skippy, but it took a circus fire to prove it to the whole city. One noonday in 1942, Tony and Skippy were traveling their regular beat in downtown Cleveland when they saw fire engines racing towards the lakefront. Tony put Skippy to a trot, and as they wheeled around the corner to the wake of the engines, a puff of smoke-laden wind struck them full in the face. It came from the circus lot at the foot of the street, and in a quick flash of seeing, Tony singled out the one tent sending up licks of flame. It was the menagerie tent. I guess that's what this picture here means. Okay. It was in that second it took to break through traffic, Tony gauged the fire. Wind coming from the north. The big top would be next. And then the horse tent. He began talking to Skippy, thinking all the while of the three things a horse fears: elephants, fire, and snakes. Steady now, Skip. Up the driveway, past the horse tent. You'll be all right. The circus lot was mad with confusion. Giraffes and ostriches racing. The circus lot was mad with confusion. Giraffes and ostriches racing at large. Trainers, barkers, clowns trying to capture them, and a brave elephant line marching trunk to tail came so close to Skippy that the burned shreds of their hides brushed his legs. He only shuddered his coat and kept right on towards the menagerie tent. Onto it, Skip, into it. Tony yelled above the screaming of wild animals. The Skippy was halted by flames. The entrance of the tent was the door to the furnace, and inside the glare only a tiger cage showed clear. A mother tiger, making a fire shield of her body, was trying to protect her cub. All else was ablaze. Tony and Skippy were too late. Now sparks from the menagerie tent arced towards the big top, and with nightmare swiftness, the heavy canvas began shriveling like tissue paper. Tony breathed a prayer of thanks that it was too early for the matinee. No children would be inside. He pressed his heels to Skippy's side and urged him towards the horse tent. His voice a mountain of strength. Get in there, Skip. That's where we can help. But could they? The horses... Well, horses don't like fire, I know that much. Okay, well, wait. I'm seeing if there's other pictures. Okay. The horses, crazed with fear, were pulling their picket stakes out of the earth, milling around in circles, some dragging the stakes along at the end of their lead ropes. They were stumbling and falling, getting up again, breaking away from the groom who was vainly trying to lead them out. One man, pointing to a white mare, shouted out, "That one leads the parade." Now Tony knew what to do. Cut out the white mare, lead her away. then hope the others will follow. Now, boy, yelled Tony. Get her, Skip. Again and again, Tony rode Skippy into the bunch, darting this way, that way, trying to outsmart the mare. But she was Quicksilver, sliding between the dark horses. Second after second went by while the smoke billowed in silence, black, deadly. Skippy sensed the increased danger, hurtled into the mob, threatened. Wait. Okay. This is a bunch of common things. Second after second went by, while the smoke billowed in silent, black and deadly. Skippy, sensing the increased danger, hurtled into the mob, threatened the dark horses with bared teeth, got close enough to the mare so that Tony could grab a rope. Tony leaned far out of his saddle, reached. He had it. Now for the test. Would the panic-stricken horses follow Skippy with the white mare at heel? They did, as one of the troop swung into line. But just at the crucial moment of their leaving the tent, a guy wire snapped. It hissed and writhed across Skippy's hooves. Get on, Tony yelled, impelling him forward. His voice and legs. Get on. It's no snake. Skippy flinched for only a second. Then, as if he could not show fear before the white mare, he stepped gingerly over the wire and maneuvered his way out through the gate of the circus lot. Hundreds of spectators lined the exit, and all traffic stopped to let a strange parade go by. A parade of 20 frightened circus horses, without their trappings. At the head of the parade pranced a police horse. His tail and forelocks were singed, and he was shining with perspiration. But in his eyes was a look that told he enjoyed leading the grand spectacle. Where did Skippy get his bravery? From Tony, of course. Through his hands, his voice, but there was something else too, some quality far back in his pedigree. Tony thinks there was what he called it, the Morgan blood. Skippy was a Morgan horse, and he was inherited from the first Morgan his closely coupled body and his sturdiness. But he inherited, too, a great calmness and courage for facing things as they come. Never before, and never since, had there been a whole breed named in honor of one horse. And never before, or ever, or since, has there been a whole breed named for one man. For in this case, both the man and the horse carried the same name. The man was the frail singing master, Justin Morgan. In the fall of 1795, he journeyed all the long way afoot from Randolph, Vermont, to West Springfield, Massachusetts, to collect a debt. But when he arrived, Farmer Bean, who owed the money, couldn't pay up in cash, so he gave the singing master a strapping big colt. For good measure, he threw in a small one. This undersized colt was a dark bay with black mane and tail, and in despite of his littleness, his eye was bold, and his way of going was big and lively. The singing master didn't want 2 more mouths to feed any more than he wanted water in his hat. But 2 colts were better than nothing at all. Perchance, he thought, as he led the colts all the way back to Randolph, I can sell them for the dollars the farmer owes me. He did sell the big colt right away, but no one would buy the little one. Too small, everyone said. Finally, he rented the colt to a farmer for a few silver dollars a year. The new master worked him hard, pulling stumps out of the earth, dragging logs, plowing, but at the end of each day, he was as up-headed and gay as if he had done nothing more than frisk in a pasture. He was ready for anything, even for pulling contests. One night he pulled a log that draft horses and oxen couldn't even budge. That's cool. Where am I? He pulled not only the log, but 3 hefty men who sat astride it. He won races, too, from thoroughbreds. He was draft horse, harness horse, race horse all in one. He could walk faster, trot faster, run faster, and pull heavier logs than any other horse in Vermont. Excuse me. When the singing master died, his name was tacked to the little horse. Justin Morgan, he was called, and his colts and grand colts too, became known as Morgans. There was a strange thing about his descendants. Whether they were brown or bay or black, they all had the same round barrel, the same closely coupled body, the same full neck, the same compact look. What was more, they had the same eagerness to go, all-purpose horses, they were called. They helped to pioneer when America was growing up, and they helped to win her wars. And so the horse that was too little grew to be the foundation sire of the very first American breed. Today, Morgan horses are used by mounted police and wherever else a plucky, honest horse is wanted. Had the singing master lived to see his little colt's descendants, what a stirring song he could have sung about heroes like Skippy. All that reading left me kind of parched, so had to rehydrate. Always gotta stay hydrated. And now we will read about the standardbred. When Indian trails through the wilds of America were widened out into roads, then wagons were built and men began to drive as well as to ride their horses. Picture a stalwart pioneer setting off with his family in the go-to meeting wagon. Driving proudly down the road, he helped to build. He hears hoofbeats coming from behind. Instinctively, he clicks to his horse, slaps the lines, and suddenly it's a race. The wagon's careening, dust billowing, children yelling, "Go it, Pa!" The two horses settle down to the business of matching speed for speed. From these friendly brushes on the road, America's own sport of harness racing was born, and our forefathers created a breed expressly for it. Farmers in and about Orange County, New York, discovered that if they bred their mares to a stallion named Ristix Hambletonian, the foals were natural trotters instead of runners. See those opposite feet strike out together, the farmer would exclaim. It's downright remarkable. Hambletonian has the blood of runners in him. Doesn't he go all the way back to the Darley Arabian? He did indeed. His colts and grand colts showed speed at the trot instead of at the gallop. Today, almost all trotters owe their action to Hambletonian's blood, and each year a great race is held in his honor, in the same Orange County where he lived and died. Upon Hambletonian's death, trotting horses admirers formed a club, and their rules were as American in spirit as the sport itself. Performance, not lineage, was the standard that counted. If a horse could trot the mile or 2 minutes and a half or better, he could be registered. The new breed was named standardbred because each horse had to be bred to a standard of speed. Since then, harness racing parks have sprung up in little and big cities alike, but the homespun country flavor is still there. Instead of flyweight jockeys, the drivers are often white-haired, substantial men who have bred and trained the horses they race. There is a saying that when breeder, trainer, driver is one man, watch out for a champion. Such is one with Rosalind, and her famed handicap race brought out a great... Take a look at these pictures. Courage in... What was the... Oh. Such as one was Rosalind, and her famed handicap race brought out a great courage in the man, Ben White, and in the mare he trained. It was September 9th, 1937, at the State Fair in Syracuse, New York. 5 horses are going to the post in the mile-and-a-half race, the All-American Trotting Handicap. One of the 5 is Rosalind. As she parades past the grandstand, men of the harness world are aware of her speed. Some watch her set a record in the Junior Kentucky. Futurity. Some saw her win the Hamiltonian as a 3-year-old. Now they have all come to watch her race against the greatest handicap ever asked of a trotter. She must start 240 feet behind the wire, 60 feet behind the nearest horse. Wow. In the face of the crowd is a look of wondering. Men shaking their heads. It'll take heart and plenty of it, they say, to go the distance. Okay. Only one horse in all America would have been penalized more, and that was the mighty greyhound, Colonel Baker, Greyhound's owner. Only one horse in all America would have been penalized more, and that was the mighty Greyhound. Colonel Baker, Greyhound's owner, had refused to enter his horse in the race because he thought too much of the big gelding. It's an impossible handicap, he had said. A horse could spend his heart to win. Sitting quietly in the sulky, Ben White knows the danger, too. He loves Rosalind. Has he not raised her from a newborn, raised her and her sire and dam too? But purposefully he drives her out on the track, for he has more at stake than the life of Rosalind. His son's life too is at stake. She had been given as a tiny foal to the boy when he was lying ill and lonely in a sanatorium. Her racing pluck had once helped him get well. Maybe now that he had been stricken a second time, her winning against great odds will help him win his battle too. It is a chance the father must take. The horses are headed for their stations. The 2 bay geldings, Friscomite and Fez, 120 feet behind the wire. Calumet, Dilworthy, and Lee Hanover, 180 feet, and still further back, with the greatest penalty of all, Rosalind. Her driver's eyes are dark and troubled. He is unmindful of the crowded grandstand. He sees only a boy looking bravely out across the desert. Now on this bright September day, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 1 o'clock mountain time, rest time in hospitals. But one boy is not resting. He is holding the lines across the miles. The father shakes the image from his head, thinking again of Rosalind, his mind on her mind, in her mind. He and she have been bred to the standard of speed. This is the time to show it. 5 horses get set on their marks, Rosalind poised for flight, trembling in her eagerness, straining towards the barrier. And now 3 barriers are sprung at the same instant, and as if by some avalanche had let loose, the word "Go" roars from the stands. 5 horses are off, and right at the start, Calumet, Dilworthy, and Lee Hanover move with a rush, passing Fez, who breaks into a gallop and pulled back by his driver, then passes Friscomite. But Rosalind settles down to business, lengthens her stride. With a stroke of commanding power, she reaches for Fez, inches up on him. She catches him and resolutely sweeps around him. Now she's moving up on Friscomite, step by step, and before the first turn, she's passing him. And around the turn, she matches strides with Calumet, Dilworthy, going eye to eye with him, then trots past him too at the quarter-mile pole. Only Lee Hanover is ahead. Only Lee Hanover making it a race. The father appears calm, yet every nerve in his body is alive, every nerve traveling through the lines to Rosalind. Now, girl, we're about to take the lead. Now we're going out in front. Steadily, she gains on Lee Hanover, then skims by him, her stroke fine and square. She's in the lead at the half mile. Rosalind, with the Grace handicap, is on top. Ben White looks at his watch, 1 minute and 10 seconds for the half mile, with the handicap tucked in. She's taking the track for her own, flying along as if all that anchors her to the earth is the sulky and the man sitting quietly in it. The father's breath comes faster. The longest yards in any race are at the finish. He turns his head to see Lee Hanover coming out of nowhere, making a wild bid for the lead, coming up on Rosalind. Gaining, now pressing her hard. He reaches for his whip. He has to. A boy is waiting. He taps his beloved filly. Rosalind feels the flick of the whip, feels the movement of the bit in her mouth. What's wrong? What's wrong? She's gone the mile yet? The whip? The bit? Hoofbeats thundering hard by. Now she knows it's not over. Lee Hanover is on her, but she won't be overtaken. From deep within comes one mite more of strength, and with a burst of speed, she crosses the finish line, a nose in the lead. Ben White clicks his stopwatch. In 3 minutes, 12 and 1/4 seconds, Rosalind has trotted the mile and a half, plus her handicap. She had set a new record for distance. She had done the impossible. Smiling, the father accepts the shining trophy, but his mind is busy elsewhere. He got a message. He has a message to send. 10 words will do, he thinks. 10 flinty, big-going words. Big as the mare's 20-foot stride. Rosalind wins her handicap race. In driving finish, you, son? The boy won over his handicap, too. He did get well a second time, and even his doctors agree that, for him, horse medicine was the best kind of all. That was awesome. And we will probably wrap that up here because we have read 2. In the next one, we will read the American Standard, the American Saddlebred horse. The American Saddle Horse. I can't read today. And we'll also be reading about the Tennessee Walking Horse, a horse that I'm especially fond of. One of the first horses I ever rode was a Tennessee Walking Horse, and it is a trotting horse, which is wonderful. This has been the Album of Horses by Margaret Henry and illustrated by Wesley Dennis. If you like this content, then make sure that you like and subscribe and ring the bell so you know when I upload. I appreciate all the support, and if you want to support me, all the information will be in the description below. And as always, thanks for watching, everyone, and have a great day.